Welcome back to Sunny's Mindset Lab. Today we look at the mechanics of organizational behavior and how you turn an abstract idea into physical reality. To understand this, we have to look at the framework popularized by John Doerr. He recognized a gap in how companies operate, the distance between idealistic goals set by leadership and daily metrics tracked by employees. The problem is simple. Having a good idea is common. Actually executing that idea at scale is rare. Google co-founder Larry Page anchored his entire philosophy on this fact. He knew that relying on inspiration alone wasn't enough to build a functioning machine. High-level inspiration requires a low-level, mechanical framework to survive contact with reality. And filling that specific gap is exactly what the OKR system is engineered to do. OKR stands for Objectives and Key Results. The objective is the what. This is your ultimate destination. It needs to be significant, inspiring, and idealistic. The key results are the how. These are the earthbound, strictly metric-driven steps required to actually move you toward that objective. This structure demonstrates why you need both. You cannot have a functional system with just the abstract top tier. You need the grounded bottom tier to make the ambition real. But there is a strict limitation. An objective can only be supported by 3 to 5 key results. Any more than that, and the organization loses focus. These metrics must be specific hard data: revenue targets, active user growth, or customer satisfaction scores. This specific pairing tethers visionary thinking directly to a quantifiable reality. It ensures that ambition never floats away from daily accountability. So how big should that top-tier objective actually be? If you set a goal that is entirely detached from reality, it becomes destructive. It paralyzes a team. Even the most resourced organizations struggle with this calibration. Take the Gates Foundation as a prime example. When they organized their fight against malaria, they set an idealistic objective: completely eradicate the disease by the year 2015. This timeline shows the psychological fallout of that specific deadline. Once the team recognized the goal was mathematically impossible, it drained the motivation of the people trying to execute it. So they made a strategic pivot. They moved the deadline back to 2040. This is the principle of the audacious objective. A goal must be scaled back until it is exactly one step short of being impossible. It has to remain significant, but it must be believable. Ambition without believability destroys morale. True leadership requires finding the precise friction point where a team is stretched to its limits but not broken. Once you have a properly calibrated goal, how do you track the mechanics of reaching it without losing focus? Doerr relies on a core analogy here. Key results act exactly like the instrument gauges on the dashboard of a vehicle. Let's apply this dashboard analogy to a clear, audacious objective: win the Indy 500. In this scenario, weak key results are easy to spot. They look like increase lap speed or reduce pit stop time. They lack any hard numbers. We can upgrade these to average key results by adding basic quantification. We target increasing average lap speed by exactly 2% and reducing pit stop time by 1 second. But while adding numbers is an improvement, measuring isolated variables without counterbalances is a recipe for systemic failure. A truly strong key result system must strictly pair its quantity targets with quality targets. This dashboard shows the danger of isolated metrics. If we only focus on quantity targets, pushing lap speed up 2% and cutting a second off pit stops, the team will inevitably cut corners. Optimizing purely for speed leads to errors, broken parts, and rework. The solution is integrating a quality metric. We add a mandate to reduce pit stop errors by 50%. This acts as a safety mechanism, constraining the speed metrics so the engine doesn't blow. We then lock it in with a final input metric: practice pit stops for 1 hour a day. This dictates the actual daily behavior required to guarantee the output targets. Without quality guardrails, a team optimizing for pure speed will eventually crash the vehicle. OKRs force holistic, balanced progress. This all looks perfect on paper, but how do organizations actually enforce these dashboards across a long fiscal year? OKRs are not a set-and-forget philosophy. They require a rigorous feedback loop of weekly, monthly, or quarterly check-ins. This color-coded matrix is the foundational grading mechanism. Every single key result is categorized into one of these 3 zones. The green zone means you are 70 to 100% on target. The operational directive here is simple. Continue with your current strategy. The yellow zone means you are only 30 to 70% on target. The directive shifts. The team must stop, develop a recovery plan, and actively adjust their strategy. The red zone means you are 0 to 30% on target. The directive is harsh. Immediately develop a comprehensive recovery plan or kill and replace that key result entirely. Doerr has a strict rule for adaptability. Teams must never hold to an outdated projection. The goals serve the purpose, not the other way around. This tracking system is designed purely for course correction, not punishment. Identifying failure early is the only mechanical way to guarantee eventual success. Which brings us to the final and most counterintuitive paradox of the framework. If a team is hitting 100% green on all their key results, they have failed. A perfect score indicates that the original objective was entirely too safe. The team restricted their potential and left actual growth on the table. The target average for a healthy system should sit at exactly 70% on target. You want an organization stretched across a mix of green and yellow results. To quote executive Melody Hobson on the nature of ambition, the biggest risk of all is not taking one. The OKR framework serves as the mechanism that allows organizations to be simultaneously ambitious in their vision and ruthlessly disciplined in their daily execution. Thank you to John Doerr for mapping out the architecture of execution. That wraps up this session of Sunny's Mindset Lab. I'll see you next time.